the number one fighter in the UFC don't speak no English. Show him. There's so many people out there that have been saying it for the longer time. Buckley is only going to be a journeyman. Buckley is only going to be known for that one kick wonder. With that being said, people don't want to actually have to deal with the reality that I could be champion one day. The UFC know what they're doing. I believe they got plans for me, fam. I don't know exactly what that is. Whenever they ready to hit go on me, is up there. At that time when we had that conversation, I'm not in the right mind and attitude to really be going back and forth with DC because I have something I have to be more concerned about, and that's my fight. Me and Usman, that's fireworks. Why not fight somebody that's the easiest work for you? Because I would do that. Regardless of what people say, he still came from what team? Kill Cliff?
Kill Cliff. And what are you again? The Kill Cliff Cliff?
There you go. There you go.
But like, why not just like talk some shit?
No, because he know. He know. All fighters know, bro.
Know what?
He get knocked out. Any man with a chin, I can knock out.
Does it piss you off that these women are getting like put above you? Like Kayla getting put above you? Your body of work in the UFC is crazy.
Why are you trying to get me in trouble? Usman, what's the word?
All right, so today I'm joined with Joaquin Buckley after a crazy knockout over the legend, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. How you feeling coming off of that, man?
Man, we feeling good, you know. Coming into, Utah, coming from Utah, I feel like just all the preparation leading up into that fight, I really just, worked my ass off, not just physically, but mentally as well. Dealing with somebody as sharp as Wonderboy, trying to figure out his style and figure out his techniques, man. I had to really just dig deep on just, how to game plan for a person like that. And I really feel like for myself, I really had to really just look towards and just get a lot of help from a lot of different individuals, from whether you say from my camp in St. Louis, whether, still reaching out to my guy Nick Simmons in Michigan, or going out searching in Texas, going training with the B team and training with Ambush Muay Thai. So, I had to really, reach out to a lot of people, man, just to try to figure Wonderboy out. But luckily I did and got the win. So.
Right. So is it fair to say maybe you're stressing a little bit about that style, like low key? Obviously you're confident, but like you're trying to get that work in for that karate style?
Yeah, I can say, I was stressing about it for a minute, just because, yet again, there's a lot of guys that fight Wonderboy and they always have a plan, or they always, have an idea of what they're going to do, and they don't ever implement that plan once they step out there in that cage, because it's one thing to say what you're going to do, but it's a whole thing to go out there and do it. And especially when you're dealing with it under pressure and that person is throwing back and they moving and they tracking you down. But for myself, I really felt like, a lot that I've learned in that situation when I was training for Wonderboy. When I was looking for a certain person to emulate Wonderboy, I couldn't find him. I couldn't train with him. Raymond Daniels, when I went out there to Texas. But there was a young kid named Chad who had a karate background, taekwondo background, that I was able to train with. And, even though he's not the level of a Wonderboy, it still gave a good look for me. So, the game plan that we had initially was to do a lot of boxing angles and to work around Wonderboy and whatever. But actually, this kid had a good ability of throwing the side kick on me, right? And obviously, Wonderboy is known for that side kicks, throwing it and thrusting it into your midsection. So every time the kid did that, he was able to distance himself and have that space. So I'm like, damn, I don't know how to beat that. But then once I started sparring him and I kind of changed it up and started just moving forward on him, he had a difficult time. And he actually had a harder time getting his leg up to hit the side kick. So that's when we made that adjustment. Even though it was just for sparring, I made that adjustment in the game plan and fighting Wonderboy, because I felt like if this kid Chad could do this to me, Wonderboy could do the same thing. And those adjustments actually led to the success in my fight, because that's what we did the whole time. We stayed forward and we stayed down Wonderboy's chest the whole time. So there's a lot of different key details that we did within that fight that led to the success that I had. And I feel like, for me, it's just like trying to put the whole puzzle together, all the pieces, whether that's from my training methods, because for this camp as well, and I'm just hopping into it, but for this training camp, anytime I hit mitts, anytime I, used the wrestling dummy, I had a bungee cord. right? So I had the resistance bands wrapped around me. So that means somebody had to hold it the whole time as I used the resistance to move forward. Because in this fight, I didn't want to step back. Wonderboy does a good job of doing his karate blitz and stepping guys back and end up, once guys come back, he'll come around with a leg kick. I didn't want to give him any room or opportunity to use his kicks, so I made sure to constantly just make myself move forward throughout the whole camp, whether that's hitting mitts, whether that's hitting the bag, or whether that's, working on the dummies, And I really feel like, working on that resistance and having that band, that's where kind of my explosion kind of came from, right? The kind of the knockout blow, because that whole resistance that I did, that whole camp I didn't have, right? So I was just able to prepare myself and kind of, throw that leaping hook, as people saw, the gazelle hook. So
I got a question about that. So with the resistance bands, you felt like in the third round, right, when you leaped into him, you just didn't have all that stuff holding you back. So it was like something you've been working on, like torquing.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah.
So just every little detail in my training helped amplify towards the fight. So us working with the either the bungee cord or working with the resistance bands, it kept my whole body moving forward, forcing my body to move forward. So once I didn't have that, anytime I moved forward, it's just like I felt very explosive, and I felt like there was nothing that Wonderboy could really do to stop my forward momentum, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So for me, right, looking into this fight a little bit, I kind of figured this is how it's going to play out. You're a really physical guy in there, and I think even if you like drop around or something due to like little techniques hitting you or something, I think the physicality even wears on these guys. And then you talk about the elevation and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly how it's going to play out. I didn't think a knockout was going to happen. I thought that Wonderboy would get like drained though. You know what I'm saying? Not that I didn't think it was going to happen.
No,
But
I get exactly what you're saying. But even with that being said, once you start to get tired, you start to slow down. And now it causes for even moments for you to get caught. And that's the thing about me. For me, just all the training that we've been doing. So you speak about the elevation part, and obviously a lot of people see me that I run those hills and everything of that nature. Y'all see me that I carried the, what I'm saying? Had the bitch with me, drag my side chick, had the wood with me. But a lot of people didn't realize, how I was training up that hill. So it was not just me running. I was holding my breath for a certain amount of time as I'm running up that hill, right? To try to emulate, elevation. Because obviously in elevation, you only have so much oxygen in the air for your body to use. So obviously with me working out, I wanted to try to simulate as close as possible to that. So I held my breath and I did rounds up the hill as I'm running. And I ain't gonna lie to you, it was a bitch working out like that, right? Because it's so, it takes a lot of extensive energy, just trying to run it up there, but then also running on a limited tank of air. So with that being said, every small detail leading up into this fight led to my success, because when I was out there for almost 15 minutes, I wasn't tired. In the third round, I was not tired, and I was able to keep that same pace. So for Wonderboy, even though he did a good job in the first, he had a little success in the second. Once that third round came, I think, his tank was kind of running empty, and it led me to be able to expose that and then, capture that shot that I needed to end the fight.
And I want to ask you how you set that up, but just real quick, how heavy was that log that you were carrying for people to know? Because obviously it looks pretty heavy.
It looks pretty heavy.
You probably didn't put it on a scale, but
I believe it is about 40 pounds. I don't think it's nothing too crazy.
Okay. Yeah. And you just found the biggest log?
Yeah. So somebody had like a car accident. So no, somebody had a car accident. It was a telephone pole.
Is that from fucking like that one video you posted on your story?
Yeah, it's the same one.
So you made use of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but
it was a broken telephone.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I was just like, fuck, I'm gonna use it for training.
Yeah. People were commenting saying like from one of those Rocky movies or something like that, there's a guy who carries a log of film. So you embodied like one of those characters.
No, they talking about Vision Quest.
Vision Quest. I haven't seen that, but I heard about it. It's like a wrestling movie.
Yeah, it's a wrestling movie about a high school kid. Right. I believe he goes down in weight. Funny enough, he goes down in weight to wrestle one of the number one guys in the state. And that's why, when the dude is carrying the wood, he's like, "You gonna make the weight?" He's like, "I hope so." Yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's an iconic scene for sure. But regardless,
and funny enough, you moved down a weight too.
Yeah, I love those old school workouts, man. You can't beat them. I really feel like it's not only just hard to do, but it gives you a lot of great mental confidence. If you're able to push yourself through those type of workouts. So I feel like for me, I always try to make the training harder than the fight. I feel like fighting is the easiest thing, but the training is always something difficult to go through. So, yeah.
Okay. And so with this knockout, how did you set that up? Is that something you were working on camp? Because people, well, okay, your boy, right, Soda Pop, he's predicted it. He's like Wonder Boy circles to the left.
Yeah, yeah.
And so is that something you saw in there and like you wanted to isolate him against the cage and like land this shot?
So the whole team, so obviously, you know, I got my man Reggie Thomas and I got Edric Dillard that was in my corner. So one is my boxing coach, which is Reggie Thomas, and then overall MMA, overall just like, you know, just game planning and everything of that nature. Edric Dillard, somebody that I've been rocking with since high school. This is who also I created the solid foundation with. So when we was game planning, we just knew that Wonderboy, a lot of times when he goes up against the cage, he kind of settles himself, right, to go either left or right, you know. But a lot of times when he does that, he squares up his stance. So the opportunity that came, you know, you can't just throw with Wonderboy because he's going to see it and he's going to slide out the way, because that's literally what he's expecting. You to throw a wild punch, you to throw a wild kick, and for him just to just narrowly, you know, just move his head out the way and for you to miss. So one thing that we just plan to do, once we got him up against the cage, get him used to us wrestling. Get them used to us wrestling, seeing that same pattern, that motion, changing levels, right? Coming underneath the hips and taking the shot. Once he got set to that pattern, right, and he kept sliding towards the cage, and it was in the second round. That's the funny part. It was in the second round when I first did it. You know, I fainted.
You missed.
And I missed. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, and he slid that way. But the reason why I missed is because I didn't use my feet. I just jumped into it, right? I did not use my feet to get closer or to advance closer, and he was able to slide out. So this time, you know, just having that adjustment in my head, I'm like, okay, we know he's going to do that same motion again. This time, just time it right and move the feet closer to connect with the chin. So as we fighting in that third round, you know, we just setting up, you know, we just fighting. But once I was able to press him, you know, he's throwing his shot backward. That's what a lot of guys don't realize too. When Wonderboy is shooting his shots and he's moving backward, he has no power. Yeah, he can touch you, but he has no power moving backwards. And a lot of guys, when they just get touched, and even if it's barely, they stop. They stop their feet against Wonderboy, right? And that allows Wonderboy to get his space back, and he can use his side kicks or he can use his hooks. But us, we said, F that. We just gonna keep moving forward. So once we kept moving forward and his back bounced off the cage, I knew there was an opportunity. He could not go anywhere, right? Even if he tried to slide out, it's still the timing was going to be off. His attacks wasn't going to be there because he cannot punch off the cage and he cannot kick off the cage. So I could prepare my whole body right into him, and then, you know, we landed that hook. So, you know, we just knew that him up against the cage, he gets caught with the right hand all the time. Darren Till, Woodley, and Kevin Holland. They all caught him while he was up against the cage, right, with the right hand. And we just knew that, you know, once his back was up against the cage, there's nothing that he could do from there. So he just let everything go with bad intentions.
Got you. Yeah, that was a hard shot. And then in the second round, you threw that too, and you hit the cage, and I was like, damn, that was a hard shot.
Yeah.
But you also, I don't know if this was intentional, but like in basketball, right, it's kind of a thing where you angle somebody to where you want them to go, because if they have like a strong side, so you angled him.
So this whole thing, and I should but I'm gonna give it to you because I fuck with you, right? But we do a theme for every fight, right? So for the Ruzaboya fight, it was a St. Louis theme. So, you know, all the call outs that we did were all like St. Louis street names. You know what I mean? Kings Highway, Lindbergh. For the Vicente Luque, you know, it was a NASA theme. You know what I'm saying? So everything was just like Space Jam. It was Apollo 13. You know, like just anything had to do with, you know, space, right? But this one
for Wonderboy,
for Vicente. Yeah, Vicente. But for Wonderboy, it was a car accident. We wanted Wonderboy to die in a car accident, a head-on collision. And the one that you just said right there, we called that roadblock. We wanted to put him in a roadblock so he can slide out only one direction. So me, like, let's say if I would have fainted across, right? Let's say I'm southpaw and I fainted across, right? We call that the roadblock so he can leak out in the other direction, you know? So we had a lot of calls, you know what I mean, that just all just leading up to, just anything that had to deal with, driving, so drive meant going forward, park mean, he's just sitting there. Adjust your mirrors when he changes his stance to mine, right? So it's just like everything that we have, anything that we call out, we always have a theme towards, what we doing. Just so it's quick, right? To me. And then plus, I don't want him to know, right? What we trying to do.
Yeah. So you're always switching them up and stuff too.
We got to. Yeah.
Right. No, I like that. Roadblock's a good name. And in basketball, like they'll do that because if somebody has a strong side that they like drive to the rim to, then you angle them off so they can't drive on their strong side. So that's where I picked that up from, kind of like watching you. I was like, okay, I got you on that one. Okay, so with the knockout, Conor McGregor, kind of like what you just said, right? As far as like backing up, what Conor McGregor's like, stand your base. Like we don't back up. What do you back up for? Did you read his reaction at all?
No, I didn't. I did not.
So he had a big reaction to it.
He had a reaction to my fight?
He did. He reacted to more so Wonderboy getting knocked out. It was more a message to Wonderboy.
Okay.
He responded to Wonderboy's video and he's like, tough go, basically. But what the fuck are you backing up for? We stand our base and shit like that.
That's hilarious, kind of can test that theory if you want to.
Yeah.
Right? But
see if he backs up against you or if he goes forward.
Nah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing. You say a lot of things, but once, two objects, they meet each other, and they moving at a very fast speed, you're going to see which one is more dominant, right? Once they make contact. So I really feel like just in that fight with Wonderboy, he's always been a counter fighter. He's always slid back. He's never really kind of stood his ground against anybody. But a lot of guys that move forward, they don't constantly move forward on them just because for the sake that they might get caught. We worked our defense the whole time. So as we come forward, we're not coming forward with offense. We coming forward with defense.
Right. Even I watched a Corey Sandhagen, and he said an adjustment you made in that fight. He did a reaction video if you want to watch it.
Okay, dope.
But he said that you got clipped one time or something with one of Wonderboy's hooks. And so every time after that, your entry was just to go like this. And basically that would keep you safe so you can like execute other shots inside.
Exactly, yeah. Because that's the thing. I know as soon as I move forward, he wants to throw. I know that. So instead of just not stepping forward, use that. So now I become a counter puncher now, right? Even though I'm aggressive, I become a counter puncher now because now once I move forward, I know you finna throw. I'm finna intercept that shot with mines now. I block and now I throw. So it's just, a lot of in-between adjustments were made in that fight. But I really feel like the game plan that we just stuck to on just moving forward, keeping our hands up, and just waiting until we found our shot was just the biggest thing. It was to be honest with you, it was a very simple fight. The only thing that I put on myself is I feel like I still kind of made the fight more difficult than what it had to be, only because I believe that my wrestling should have been way more superior to Wonderboy, where he shouldn't have been able to get up, but he still got up, So, I can applaud my hand to him, but there's things I feel like I still got to work on. There's things I still need to get better at because Wonderboy shouldn't have been able to get back to his feet so easily.
Right. The takedowns were great, though, I would say. Yeah. But, Wonderboy was getting up a little bit too quick, probably for your liking, right? Yeah. Okay, and real quick, I wanted to ask you to just give me a quick thought on this one. Judges' scorecards and stuff like that, they had you losing the first round, winning the second round. I was watching it and I was like, all right, I think he got the first round, but then that head kick came, which is like one of those things where it can go either way. But I for sure thought you won the second round. But with that being said, Usman, right? We're going to maybe skip around a little bit, but I'll try to title in. Usman also says you were down 2 rounds. Other people are saying you were likely down 2 rounds and you needed that knockout. How are you feeling going into the third round?
I knew it was competitive. First off, I felt like it was back and forth at the time. I rewatched the fight
because also the judges were weird that night, right?
Yeah, that's what they that's what they said. Actually, there's one judge that had me winning the fight, had Wonderboy winning the fight, and then one that had me first round, Wonderboy second round. But regardless of that, I just knew it was a close fight, right? And I felt like in my heart of heart at the time, when I was just, out there in the cage, that we had to get a finish. Even if I felt like I was winning, I still could not rely on going to the judges because every moment that Wonderboy had, You can hear the oohs and the ahs from the crowd, and I already know that the judges are easily persuaded by those, those noises, and they can make those decisions like that. So I just knew that at the end of the day, I was like, bro, I got to get a finish. But when I rewatched the fight and I look at it, I believe I was winning the fight the whole time.
I kind of do
You
too,
know?
honestly. Like, no bias. If I take that out, I feel like you're winning because all I can say for Wonderboy is he landed that big strike in the first, and I just don't feel like that's enough to kind of like take the round with
Exactly,
like all
right.
the control you did in
Because
that
even
takedown in
with
the
the
beginning.
striking, the striking numbers were almost similar the same, if not miles more. I put out more output and I landed more. So with that being said, if it was just, let's take the wrestling out. If it was just, I'm winning the striking bout.
Right. So then you mix in the
And
wrestling.
now I'm mixing the wrestling. So yet again, I had more moments in that fight. And but people just how they feel and just who Wonderboy is, they just want Wonderboy to be winning, right? So any moment that he has, whether that's him getting back up to his feet, whether that's throwing it, you gotta realize he didn't land a head kick though, right? It was still blocked. Very powerful though. I ain't gonna lie. I'm glad I had my hand up.
It seemed to rock you a little bit. That's what people were
Nah, it
saying.
didn't rock me.
No. Okay.
It was so powerful, it knocked me off balance.
So it looked like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, got you.
But I was still able to move forward exactly how I was doing. You can't, if you're a rock, you can't keep the same type of footwork, right? A lot of guys, when they get rocked, they have their equilibrium, knocked off, and you either stand still or you kind of bag away, right? But me, I kept moving forward, kept that same pressure on them, nothing changed from that, and I was able to, yet again, set up a great and beautiful knockout right after that. But regardless of that, though, it was a very powerful kick. Luckily, I had my hand up, but it just knocked me off balance. But I really feel like that was the only thing that he had. But a lot of people, yet again, just reacted to it, and they made it bigger than what it really was. Yeah.
I feel like just because the Wonderboy bias a little bit, they love him.
So that's
Right.
why.
But,
that's
okay.
why we knew we had to get the knockout, because I believe they would have robbed me that night for sure.
Okay. Well, there we go. So it's good you got the knockout. You went out there in the third going for the knockout.
My whole intentions before I walked into that cage, I was gonna knock out Wonderboy.
Always, right? Yeah.
Like, I'm just keeping it
Okay.
a buck. Like, so
No,
regardless
yeah,
of how the
I
fight
feel
was
you.
going, whether I was losing,
You're always
the
going for
main
it.
intentions once I walked out into that cage was to knock out Wonderboy that night.
For that third check, which you
he
got.
said, yeah, for that exactly for that third check. And speaking
Yes,
of
sir.
that third check, man, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone.
Well, come
I'm
on.
gonna leave it
come on.
alone. I'm gonna have to hit up. My people on a personal note, because I think that that bonus is supposed to be a little bit different.
What does that mean?
I think it's supposed to be a little different.
It's supposed to be 50K or more than that?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna keep it on the wraps just in case.
All right.
But anyway,
There's a little teaser. We'll see what happens.
Exactly. But regardless of that, though, I really feel like yet again the game plan and the thing was Wonderboy was supposed to die in a car accident, a head-on collision. That's what happened that night.
Got you. So Kamaru Usman, you called him out. Seemed to be flirting with you a little bit, but now he says that you need to get in line because tons of people are calling him out.
And that's the funny thing. Who in line?
And that he's working on.
Who's in line?
The only person I could think that called him out, I was thinking like all day yesterday, Bilal, because Bilal was like, let me fight Usman or something like that. But that's it.
And that's the even thing. And that's the crazy part about Bilal. Bilal was like, Usman doesn't even deserve a title shot. He said, and plus he said, Shavkat is an easier fight than Usman. So let me get the Shavkat.
And I think Shavkat's fighting him, right?
Exactly. And that's what I believe that the UFC is going to make, the Shavkat and Bilal, right? And that's the thing. Usman, don't nobody call him out, right? That's still a great name. He hasn't fought in the last fight that he had was with Hamzat, right? If I'm not mistaken. So it's been a minute. Like, bro.
A full year at this point.
It's been a whole year. Come and get this word. Come and get paid at least, right? But at the end of the day, I feel like Usman, he's just waiting on the opportunity just to have that big fight, which is, fighting for a title. But my thing is that shit shouldn't be given to you, bro. You should work for that. Just because you been a former champion, just because you held the belt, for, a good amount of time, doesn't give you the right to come back, and just be like, all right, I get to fight for the belt again. you still not accounting those 3 losses that you didn't have, right? So prove to the world that you still have the ability to fight for a belt, you know?
That's kind of what I'm saying. I feel like pretty much what you said, number 1 contender, because for people who might not be fully paying attention, Usman, the UFC kind of owes him, right? There's this argument that Usman stepped up to fight Khamzat on short notice, so the UFC owes him a title shot. But he lost that fight. So at the same time, it's like you can't warrant a title shot 0-3. So with that good favor, just let him win one fight, kind of, to get to a title, or you fight him and win, you get the title shot. Basically a number 1 contender, you versus Usman, because they owe him.
Exactly, right? Perfect breakdown. With me having 5 wins and 3 finishes on top of that, right? Now in the goddamn welterweight division, I feel like, you can sell that idea. Kamaru Usman beat me, rightfully, boom. He can fight for the title, But I believe because I am who I am, a lot of guys don't want to see me have the opportunity to not only beat Usman, but then also get the opportunity to fight for a belt. Because there's so many people out there that have been saying it for the longer time. Buckley is only going to be a journeyman. Buckley is only going to be known for that one-kick wonder, right? So with that being said, people don't want to actually have to deal with the reality that I could be champion one day.
Because it also makes them wrong for their previous comments. They know what they typed out.
Exactly.
So that's just a little biased. But, hey, that's why I keep posting, So I think you got a lot of fans, too.
Yeah.
And people are just like, as time goes on, the only thing people can say really is you and Kevin Holland, like, you lost that. But it's like, dude, at this point, those are just tired arguments. You 5-0, right? 3 finishes, 2 decisions, and they're all 2 unanimous decisions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you've been basically running through the division.
And
if you look at guys like Ian Gary and stuff, who's also been doing very well, he hasn't put in the exciting body of work that you've put in, I feel like.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, yet again, letting the results speak for themselves is everything. I really feel like, the type of attention that comes with my fights and the amount of eyes that I get, whether people like me or not, that has nothing to do with it. People going to pay attention and watch. So I really feel like that the UFC, just understanding that and knowing that, just set me up with the good fights, set me up with the best fights so I can get my way to what I'm trying to do, right? And that's fight for a title one day. So even if that's not Usman, you know what I mean? I do deserve somebody in the top 5.
Right. So at least it's somebody in the top 5 then, because, okay, right, you want to fight before the end of the year, no? You called for that in your video on YouTube.
Yes.
Okay, so if not Usman, because he's saying he's working on himself, who else is there for you that you like?
Oh, yeah. So right now, is JDM, Leon.
I think him and Ian Gary might be getting booked. They both said they got fights booked. JDM and Ian Gary.
JDM, they came out and said you got something?
I heard that JDM said he had something and Ian Gary said he had something.
All right, that's booked. Leon, we're going to have to get Leon out the closet. Right?
Okay.
He's still.
But if I'm wrong, also JDM's an option. I don't want to.
No, you good. Leon Edwards is a beautiful option as well. And Kobe Covington. What's Kobe? I think he's probably number 6 in the world.
I think he's like 1 or 2 above you, yeah.
Okay. But Kobe
they moved him down a ranking.
Okay, they moved him down. All right, that's fine.
So maybe he's 7, you're 9. I think Gilbert's number 8.
So if you talk about this, let's just put it all together, right? Bilal and Shaka, that's just my opinion. I believe that they're gonna fight each other. Leon is somewhere crying in the UK, so he probably not gonna pop out for a minute. JDM and Ian Gary, you said, is already in the mix. Gilbert Burns just lost the fight, right, to Sean Brady.
Right.
So the only people available would be Sean Brady, Leon, or Usman. Right?
Right. Sean Brady, Leon, or Usman, or Colby.
Or Colby.
Right. So. Dana said, though, that Colby's a potential for Ian. So Ian said he's booked, but, they're lagging on announcing these opponents. So it's like, who knows what's going to really happen. But probably Colby, Gilbert, or Usman?
Yes.
You don't really want Sean Brady or something like that because he's coming off the dub, but
no.
You said in the past you don't like how he promotes.
It's not that I wouldn't want him. Would he want me? Yet again, we trying to eat, right? And I'm trying to have those type of fights that people are just going to be tuned in for. And not saying people wouldn't be tuned in for me and Sean Brady, but me and Usman?
That's a fight.
That's fireworks.
Hey, can I ask you this one? With Usman, right? What happened with that energy? I guess it's because he's healing. But did you have any thoughts? Because T Wood, right? He said,
Yeah,
please don't
Tyron
back
Woodley.
up,
Yeah,
T Wood. I'm coming all night long.
yeah,
No Diddy.
yeah. Right.
What about that energy with you? Why do you feel like he hasn't really, like, even if he's coming recovering, why isn't he like, hey man, like, with that kind of energy?
You talking about T Woods?
I'm talking about Kamaru Usman. Why is he coming at you with some different energy instead of like just like playing the cool guy?
Because he
Like,
know.
he's playing too cool for you, but like,
Not,
why not just like talk some shit?
not because he know. He know. All
Mm.
fighters know, bro.
Know what?
He get knocked out. Like, just if I was and remember what we talking about, right? If they not gonna give you a fight anyway, why not fight somebody that's the easiest work for you and get paid? Because I would do that. If I had some young buck talking all this shit, whatever, and I ain't had nothing going on and I couldn't find me a fight, right? And this kid is just happened to just offer himself up, but he's on a winning streak and his name is kind of good, but I know I can beat him. I'm taking that
That's
fight.
what you want, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why you're calling for Usman. You know you can beat him. He's a big name. He's accomplished a lot.
Right. But for me, the reason why Usman doesn't want to fight me is because he knows my capabilities of knocking him out. How does Usman win the fight, right? People would like to say he'll ragdoll me and shit like that, and that's cool. Yeah, they can think that all they want to. But besides the wrestling point, if I get back up to my feet, how does he win?
But you got to factor in all those other X factors. Can he even take you down with his bad knees? He's up there in age. You are younger. And, people don't know, but I was watching the Jackson podcast. You're not just some like high school wrestler. You also made it to the state tournament, no?
Yeah,
But these are things like you have real accomplishments in wrestling. You have real techniques.
And this is what my brother Edric would tell you too, right? Collegiate wrestling and high school is all different from MMA wrestling.
Okay, got you.
You got George St. Pierre, who started in karate in the dojo, who out wrestled guys who were D1 wrestlers, from Johnny Hendrick, from John Finch, other names like Matt Hughes, right? Out wrestled those guys. MMA wrestling is so much more different from just regular collegiate wrestling. So with that being said, it's just like a lot of guys, they don't realize how effective I am with my MMA wrestling, whether that's defensively or offensively, right?
With also probably the base understanding of the collegiate wrestling too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And like I said, I think with age and injuries, these things level it all out. Even though he's got that Olympic experience, you factor in these other things, and you guys are very close.
Yeah. And I don't even think he got Olympic experience now.
Or I think he was wrestling on the world team or something like that, or a trials member or something like that.
He just didn't make the cut. That's all.
He went to the trials.
Right.
Got you.
Yeah. But regardless, though,
how do you think you knocked him out?
Man, he knows, and regardless of what people say, he still came from what team? Kill Cliff.
And what are you again? The Kill Cliff Kid?
There you go. There you go.
So you're trying to add another Kill Cliff member on your list. Yeah. I think those guys might be getting mad at me for fucking like broadcasting that you're saying that. I'm going to be real.
It is what it is. It's the truth, though. They can't be mad at the truth.
Right. They just got to see you. Okay, but real quick, though, you say that like I can knock out Usman. What makes you say that?
Any man with a chin, I can knock out. So if I had the ability to touch your chin, I can knock you out. That's just my honest, truest, thoughts. Like, if I can touch your chin, I can knock you out.
When you say that, my first thought was like the Leon Edwards knockout, obviously head kick. I think you're elite with your kicking. And I think that the southpaw matchup kind of opens it up. So is that why you say that you're going to knock him out, or what? Is that just my thoughts?
No. Your thoughts is correct. A lot of things that Usman will have problems with, I believe that I can give him a lot of troubles. I can give him a lot of issues from a kicking range, the power and my angles, right? My footwork. He never dealt with anybody that had good footwork, right? He couldn't even practice on how to stop somebody with footwork because, yet again, he ain't got no knees, right? He's the type of person that can only move forward or move backwards, right? Or he stays in one spot when he throws. And I really feel like just my striking capabilities when it comes to my boxing and my movement and my kicks will really give him a lot of issues. And then on top of that, I don't really believe that his wrestling is going to have a great advantage as he think it might.
So it'll probably end up being like a striking battle. And you feel like you win that?
Yeah, it'd be an ass whooping.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got you. You want to be back by the end of the year? I feel like there's only one date, UFC Tampa. That I believe that's the last card of the year.
Okay, what's that date? December what?
December. Shit. December 14th.
That's right.
That is basically 2 months out. Okay, so we'll see what happens there.
You got him.
Got you.
That's it.
Hopefully it happens. But there's also, just to put it out there, LA, January, UFC 311. So that could be one too, just like right around the corner.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. If we want a main event, I really feel like it'll be in 2025 when we make it happen. But for Usman, I feel like he would want a 5-rounder just to make his mind at peace. He would want a 5-rounder.
Does that have to be like a fight night or something, or you think you guys could headline a pay-per-view?
I think it'd be a fight
it's not a title. Fight night.
Me, I think it'd be a UFC fight night.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be beautiful if it'd be a pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be mad at it, but it would make more sense to be a UFC fight night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're basically out of time. Can I ask you just like a couple quick ones though? They're really good, I promise.
Are you good?
Okay. The getting bumped down. There's like this storyline now at this point.
Is a storyline for it?
Yeah. Listen, my narrative, right? I'm making this up, so it's on me. But tell me your thoughts. They give you Vicente, right? Vicente versus Sean Brady, main event. Sean Brady steps out, you step in. Now you're the co-main event, and Aaron Blanchfield, Manon Fiorot headline.
Yeah.
One time. You steal the show there. You prove your worth. Then this time around, were you on the main card to begin with? Because Dana announced you in that announcement. I thought you were main card.
Okay, that's what my boy Edric told me too, but I didn't pay no attention.
You don't know for sure.
I don't know for sure, right?
What made you come out with that video where you said we're down on the prelims now?
Because of what Edric told me.
Okay, right. So he was like, "Hey, you're on the prelims, not the main card," and you're like, "Oh shit, okay, better tell the fans."
Right, and so that's why I made that video. But I really made that video just to be like, yet again, it's just me, bro. I'm trying to speak things into existence, right? Like, I'm not scared to do that. But I was just like, in my heart of heart, I'm like, this is the last one y'all get for free. Tune the fuck in.
I believe it, though. It makes sense what you say. It's
right.
Nothing crazy.
Right. So I really feel like, at the end of the day, the UFC know what they're doing. They're a well-oiled machine. They're $1 billion business for a reason. Like, I believe they got plans for me, fam. I don't know exactly what that is. They haven't involved me in those plans yet. But I believe whatever it is, whenever they ready to hit go on me, is up there. That makes sense. So
I feel like they want that too.
Right. I just have to.
But they're a little scared.
You say they look scared?
I think they're a little scared.
I can't be no worse than Sean Strickland. I tell you that.
Right. You're no worse than Sean Strickland. I feel like, but if you were to ask me, which you didn't, but I'll tell you anyway. I feel like Rampage Jackson, his career towards the end, actually, because I listened to Jackson podcast, and he had some issues with like his star power of doing the movies and stuff like that. And the UFC obviously liked his star power in the promotion and like things like that. So I think they're worried maybe about these guys who have a lot of star power as like, where are they going to take it before I give you like our cosign fully? Like, I want to make sure you're going to be like loyal to us. I feel like. I got you.
I feel you. I can make that decision yet until I get there, but I can understand why the UFC would be a little hesitant on why they make certain moves. But yet again, my only thing that I have control in is winning. And that's what we're going to keep doing.
Got you. And with Alex Pereira, is he still making MMA look retarded? Because that's another big win. That went viral.
Yes. So let me change the words. I just really feel like at the end of the day, for me, and this is what gave me a lot of motivation, in that a lot of guys don't know what they're doing. And I don't mean fighters. I'm going to take the fighters out of it. There's a lot of coaches and teams and gyms that really don't know what the fuck they are doing, and allowing their fighters to be put in a bad situation where they don't look as great as they are. Khalil Roundtree did a great, fantastic job, bro, throughout that whole fight. But I really feel like the adjustment in the team, or the adjustment in the mindset of the team, wasn't there to allow Khalil Roundtree not to take as much damage. Because at the end of the day, your team is there to protect you.
You think they should have called it or something?
It's more than that. They should have
or taught him better techniques or something like that ahead of it.
Not even just better techniques. It's just making mid-fight adjustments, bro. You gotta do that. You gotta tell your fighter to do that.
Well, you got to be the MMA fighter, right, in this sport. I think that's what you've been saying, and I fully agree.
Yeah.
I thought it was a big miss when Khalil said, like, I'm going to commit to the striking, because you give Alex a lot of closure. You know, you hear about fighters being worried about being taken down and how that affects their game plan.
Exactly.
And for him to just say, like, hey, Alex, we're just going to have a striking battle. Don't worry about a takedown.
Exactly.
Huge miss.
Right.
I thought it was a huge miss.
And that's the thing, too. If you want to play the mind games, right, fuck the fans, right? You can play mind games on him. Even if you feel like you want to just strike, right? Just say, oh, I'm going to shoot single leg, and just say it, you know, to have him worrying about it. But like, yet again, I feel like there's a lot of people in the MMA game that aren't qualified to the highest level to be actually putting fighters in a position to either fight for belts, you know what I mean, or be in a corner to actually call out the right calls at that time. Because yet again, there's a lot of talented fighters, man, that go out there and they have all the ability in the world to take that belt or whatever, but because of who they have on their team, they don't give them the right direction, you know?
Yeah.
So that's.
Are you low key calling out the gym a little bit? His gym for like.
Not his gym. It's not just his gym. It's a lot.
Okay. I mean, I noticed
it's the majority. It's the majority of camps in that a lot of people are part of. There's a majority of camps that do not have the capabilities to really understand what the fight game is. I really feel like the fight game is still forever evolving, and there's a lot of guys that think they know it all, but they don't know shit.
Right. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just gonna put it out there. It's something I always think. Syndicate's coach, Eric Nixick. Sometimes I wonder. I'm like, you know,
that's Extreme Couture.
Extreme Couture, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And you don't have to talk shit, but I'll just say
because
sometimes I wonder a little bit, like, do you really have the
I
knowledge?
respect Eric. I know Eric Nick, you know, whatever story that he gave, the background that he gave, you know. But I really feel like, you know, at the end of the day, this game still got a lot of room to grow, a lot of improvement. And I feel like at the end of the day, there's still people that are part of this sport that never done this sport.
Mm-hmm. No, I got you. And that's something the sport has, unfortunately. The snake oil type shit. I don't know what it is about MMA.
Yeah.
It's probably all the mix of martial arts that do that. Last one I got for you, it's like a double. Kevin Holland, DC, you squashed the beef with both of them. How are you feeling about that, like overall, with dealing with both those guys and hopefully in a better position now?
Well, me and Kev ain't never had no beef. I'm going to just keep it a buck right there. Me and Kevin Holland ain't never had no beef. Ain't never been no issues. Ain't never been no problems. But, you know, we got to keep the storyline going, as they call it. Right?
You guys are building each other up. I see what it is.
Right. But when it comes to DC, everybody knew the situation that we was going. And be honest with you, I felt kind of childish even having that conversation because, you know, he was telling me how I shouldn't be, you know, promoting myself. Right. But at that time when we had that conversation, I'm not in the right mind and attitude to really be going back and forth with DC because I have something I have to be more concerned about, and that's my fight, you know? And I really feel like, you know, a lot of people felt like, you know, it is what it is. DC really got into him, and it is what it is, right? At that moment, he definitely did. I shut the fuck up, and I let DC speak his truth, right? Because one thing that DC was definitely correct about, he doesn't have to help any other fighter along the way, right? It's not his responsibility. No matter black, white, Asian, Dagestani, don't even matter, right? Whoever he chooses to put on and talk about and help push, that's his prerogative. You know what I mean? Like that's his decision. But for me, I really feel like at the end of the day, it's just like making the decisions and whatever I do, living on it, right? And living by it and standing on it. So no matter what I say, no matter what I do, you know what I mean? Just realize whatever consequences or whatever anybody has to say about it, don't be affected by it, you know? And just stand on those decisions. But I don't think DC fuck with me still.
You don't feel like that?
Nah,
You said you made the perfect call out.
Huh?
He said your call out was the perfect call out. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's TV DC.
That's TV.
I'm talking about Lafayette DC. Don't fuck with me still.
He's getting that paper up in your face too, like.
Yeah, but it is what it is. I appreciate DC for just having that talk. Us going viral. That's still promo at the end of the day.
You're the most viewed out of anybody, I think, other than Pereira.
So,
just putting it out there.
There it is. Yet again, people love drama. People love stupid stuff. So, but at the end of the day, I feel like for me, what I learned about that, stand on what you say. Right.
Right.
Just stand on it. Yeah.
Honestly, I think people are saying he got into you, but I think you were real, dude. Like sometimes you have to admit when you're wrong. And I feel like you did that. You said your point to DC about like, you called me a pussy, and then he's like, yeah, but you called you said my mom raised a hoe, and then you're like, okay, like I get that. Like I'm not gonna, so that two men, I think like you have to do that. So I thought it was fine. I didn't think like he got into you at all. I think you guys both expressed your opinions.
Exactly.
And I think he probably fucks with you. I think you're like hopefully he looks at you as like a little brother or something like that,
yeah,
or
probably,
like a nephew.
But at the end of the day, I really feel like me and DC, because I tell people all the time, that's one thing I would be honored is, and people will still be like, oh, this nigga still trying to fight. That ain't got nothing to do with it. Whatever I can get when I talk about working and training, I can take into that cage for myself, right? If I get my ass whooped in the gym, I get to whoop somebody's ass out there in the fight, right? So I really feel like for me, it's just like if DC is able to bless me with some work, bro, you know what I mean? That's how I know that we be cool, But he still hasn't blessed me. He still ain't wrestled around with me and all this other shit, you know what I'm saying? Because yet again, that's how you build a true brotherhood or a true, let's say, understanding between one another as martial artists, is being able to get into the gym and train with one another,
Right. Well, he gave you his word. He said it'll happen. I believe him. So let's see.
I got you. There you go. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Wait, and I don't think you answered the question fully. Does it piss you off that these women are getting like put above you? Like Kayla getting put above you? Your body of work in the UFC is crazy.
Why are you trying to get me in trouble? It don't make me mad. It don't make me mad. It did not have to do with women, just anybody. I feel like I'm the show. So even Alex Pereira being the #1 fighter in the UFC, don't speak no English. Show him. I feel like still I'm above him when it comes to the entertainment, and how I fight. But that's just me as a competitor. I gotta think that way. I want to be bigger than Alex Pereira one day, I want my name to be attached closely to Conor McGregor one day, But I feel like for me, the situations that I've been dealing with this year, 2024, I got to remove certain elements in my life. And once I remove those things, I'm able to replace them with things that's even better, that's going to be able to put me in a position where I want to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. For sure, bro.
Right.
We didn't even get to touch on the part that I guess you were dealing with some stuff before camp, but
we'll
talk about that another time.
It's straight.
All right, bro. Well, good luck with everything. Hopefully you can get a fight
end
of this year, early next year, something like that.
Yeah. We working towards it, man. Usman. What's the word?